You know what old Jack Burton always says at a time like this?
Come on, man. I'll bite your legs off.
I can take it.
Great power comes great responsibility. We have a fault. Get to the chopper! And leave. Just a flesh wound. I am the father.
「五国聖樹伝記によると日本には古来バラゴン、モスラ、ギドラなどの怪獣がいてゴジラ発見三大怪獣ついに激突
キングギドラ
生き残るのは誰だゴジラ、モスラ、キングギドラ大怪獣総攻撃
And welcome back to the monster movie Stompdown. Of course, you got Sludge here, and sitting right across from me
is Mark.
And our brother from Texas,
Ruben.
And if Mark sounds all sad and pitiful, it's because he's sad and pitiful. He's fighting a sinus infection or something like that.
Sad and pitiful.
Man, it's that time of the year, brother.
Yes,
it's that time of the year.
You know, the bad part is
it's
they made me go do a COVID test. And,
Yeah.
You know, and sticking that crap up my
Oh,
nose.
that's gotta really
my
suck.
Gosh. And it wasn't even for this. I have surgery coming up on Tuesday for my eye. So
and I figured you were getting that COVID test because they wanted to confirm you didn't have it. I said, man, now with these allergies, it's funny. RJ's, I don't know, for those of y'all don't know, my son RJ is a theology teacher at a Catholic school in San Antonio. And it's part of the Incarnate Word system. So they have COVID. They have to get COVID tested every once in a while, but it's saliva for them. So he didn't mind it at all.
Really?
Yeah, they you know.
Well, what blows my
it's
mind
a saliva test
with Mark having to get the test for his surgery is your surgery's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
You got your test yesterday, right?
Yesterday. And they give you this letter that says you must now go self-quarantine until the surgery.
Okay. Right. Okay. What a working American can do that?
Yeah.
Because I was wondering too, 'cause I'm like, they're giving you the test a week in advance.
Yeah.
What happens if you run into somebody with COVID? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we've already had it. So,
and we've, I run a restaurant, and I come in contact with a whole lot of people. And so it's crazy.
But when I got tested way back in July, when I first got it, I mean, it's funny. They gave you the test. They gave me 2 tests and it was negative. The first one was negative, but they said, but it's not as accurate. So they sent me home with a letter saying, you can't go to work. You can't go to school. You can't do anything. You got to self-quarantine until you get that second result in, which took almost a week to get. And then, of course, by then I already had the symptoms. When I took the test, I barely had any symptoms. It was just kind of a hunch that I had. And, but by the time they gave me my positive results, well, shoot, I had it. I knew I had it. There was no doubt about it.
Yeah,
but
when I got it, man,
if I wouldn't have gotten it, I would have been lucky. I would have been luckily I worked for a company that said, no, you're covered. You're paid. You're paid for. Yeah. But man, otherwise I would have been out of work.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been able to work. I wouldn't have been able to do anything. I'm like, man,
it just,
so.
I mean, it's like because they're actually doing the surgery on my right eye this time. I had the left eye surgery already.
Right.
And they did one of those rapid tests. I went in, they did the test, and I went back, came back home, and I stayed home until the next morning was my surgery, so it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
But this one, there's a week. A week.
No sense to me,
like,
man.
what in the world?
Well, good luck, Mark. I hope everything goes good, man.
It should go smooth.
Well, they did my left eye the first time, and my sight just improved greatly. So I can't wait to get this right eye done. And
all right.
I can't wait for the days and days of him complaining about it itching.
Oh, my gosh.
He did that a lot.
It's going to drive me crazy.
Because they put a patch over his eye, and he can't touch it.
Yeah.
But it itches.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Because I remember we did a show and he still had that patch.
Here's the bad.
I
had to push the issue because, hey, I was a little bit nervous Godzilla versus Kong was coming out, and I don't want to see it.
Oh,
I don't want to
yeah,
see this
yeah.
one-eyed. I was like, no, we can't do this. And that's why I was so glad when they said, okay, it's moved to the 31st. So now it gives me a little bit more time,
More wiggle room. Yeah, you should be good.
to heal up, and be good to go.
Should be good. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, speaking of
Worked out
Godzilla,
good. All right.
it is
There you go.
that's what we're doing this episode. We're back on the Godzilla films, and we are the next one of the Millennium Series, and this is the longest title of the Godzilla series: Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, all giant monsters. What is it? Dang it! Giant monsters all out attack. There you go.
Yes.
Gosh.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll get it out sometime.
All out attack.
It was the longest name for a movie ever, I think. But let alone
Hence,
Godzilla.
everybody just says GMK.
GMK.
You don't even say
GMK.
Godzilla anymore. You just say GMK.
That is all that matters when it comes to this one. Now, this one, of course, is a very dear and special to my heart. Why? Because Shusuke Kaneko came over to Toho and did this film, and we all know that Gamera 2. I mean, that's top notch for Sludge. Shusuke Kaneko, of course, did the Gamera 90s Heisei Trilogy that many people revere, especially the third film, Revenge of Iris, as being one of the greatest giant monster films of all time, and definitely is. But he came over and took his final swing at a Godzilla film because he'd always wanted to do one. But he got lucky and got to do Gamera first, but finally got a crack at Godzilla at what Sludge definitely thinks is the best of the Millennium.
Yeah. And we are all thankful that he got his shot.
Oh
This
my
is a great
gosh.
movie.
Absolutely
Yeah.
thankful
Yes.
for it.
Yeah.
And Shusuke came over and he actually cycled through a few different script ideas for this one because this one's very different. This one, and it was kind of cool that it came out Millennium Series because Millennium, everyone's pretty much just a one-off movie, one-off story. Not, there's no sequel other than the Mega Godzilla films, which are coming here next. So it was cool because his story goes completely not off the rails, but in a completely different direction than any other Godzilla film. And so for the movie, this one's very different. Godzilla's back to being pure evil creature, back to the 54 origins. Yeah. And it only ties to the original 54 film. No other Godzilla movie is mentioned other than the 98 film, which was an awesome little drop from Toho in there.
Yeah, it was.
At the beginning of the movie, the main character, or one of the main characters, Admiral Tachibana, who's the father of the main character, Yuri Tachibana, who is a reporter for a TV station called Digital Q, which is kind of like, it's a little not nab, but a little throwback to Ultra Q, really, because this station does cheesy sci-fi shows. And so for those fans of Ultraman and know the origins back to Ultra Q, you'll get that cool little reference in the movie of Digital Q to Ultra Q. But so she's a reporter for them. And at the beginning, her father, Admiral Tachibana, who survived the original Godzilla attack, is giving a speech to a bunch of cadets because he works for the Defense Force at the beginning. And they mention monsters showing up around the world. And then they shoots to some cadets, and one cadet goes, I heard that there was that New York attack. The Americans said it was Godzilla. And then the other one goes, our experts have our doubts. And I was like, yeah, I love that. So it was a sweet little jab. But it was a little bit different in this one.
Yeah.
Because Kaneko's story, the story they used in this one is that Godzilla returns, but his eyes are ghost white, which I love in this. But he is filled with the victims and the dead soldiers of the Pacific War because the war has been forgotten, and he's come back to wreak vengeance and bring remembrance to the pain and turmoil that Japan had went through.
And also it seems that it's mentioned that Japan doesn't even believe. Some don't even believe Godzilla ever existed.
Yeah, it is mentioned.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they're like, he's just a myth type of deal. And I thought that was
because one of the general guys ends up calling off the search for Godzilla because he's not even really, they don't believe it. Rude awakening for him.
Yeah.
But so in the middle of this, of course, you've got Godzilla starting to make his appearance before his big reveal about halfway through the film, which is cool because in the beginning of the movie, we'll run through the synopsis here. An American nuclear sub is attacked by Godzilla. You get a very quick glimpse of his fins glowing through the ocean. And then, of course, you get the credits opening sequence. And as it goes on, what ties in between is Yuri is doing this cheap show and she stumbles across this old man who's supposedly a professor back from the 50s in Godzilla's original attack, as you find out, who is telling about the legend of the guardian monsters, which are 3 monsters that were guardian monsters of Japan, and how they've got to come back because Godzilla's coming back. So she dives into the reporter side, trying to find these guardian monsters, which are Baragon, Mothra, and King Ghidorah, to fight off Godzilla, who's coming. And you got people who believe he's coming, people that don't believe he's coming, and of course they show up and everyone crap hits the fan. But of course, when he shows up, the guardian monsters show up, and he takes on Baragon first, who unfortunately doesn't last long at all. Poor little Baragon gets his butt whooped, and then goes on.
There wasn't even no taking on there. He
not
he
at
just
all.
annihilated real quick.
And then he goes on and fights in the final battle Mothra and King Ghidorah. And during the fight with King Ghidorah, who we should mention in the movie, is talked about it takes 10,000 years for him to fully grow. And it had been 2,000 years since he was put into hibernation. So he emerges prematurely. He's known as the 1,000-year dragon because it takes him 10,000 years to fully mature. So the Ghidorah that we get in the movie is almost kind of like Kong and Skull Island, I guess. You know what I mean? Not fully grown.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
Because when you first see him, his wings
he's just Ghidorah. He's not even
Ghidorah.
Ghidorah.
Not even King Ghidorah. He's just Ghidorah in it. His wings aren't even up. You know what I mean? Like they're kind of laid back down when you first see him. Now, of course, as he fights Godzilla and Mothra, he gets his butt whooped initially from Godzilla. Mothra comes up to try and save him, and Godzilla turns around and in an awesome blast takes Mothra out in just a ball of fire. Well, then Mothra's energy and Baragon's energy fuse into Ghidorah, and Ghidorah rises as
King Ghidorah.
King Ghidorah.
Yes.
The 1,000-year dragon.
Yeah. And he's bad looking.
He's really bad looking.
dude.
And then he just goes toe to toe with Godzilla, but still can't stop the king. Godzilla does end up taking him down in what is one of the greatest death sequences, I think, ever. Because he is pelting Godzilla with all of his, electric beams, and Godzilla's just taking it like it's nothing. And then his spines glow, not blue, just blue, but also gold.
Yes.
Soaking up this energy from him, and he blasts him and just sends him into oblivion. But during the fight, Godzilla actually gets wounded, and there's a part near his on the side of his chest that he gets wounded at, and Admiral Tachibana finds a possibility of stopping Godzilla and takes a sub with this D3 missile. Can't remember what they call it, a D3.
Yeah.
And it's a type of missile
D3,
that the defense forces use that has a drill head to be able to drill through, rock and metal. And he goes to fire this thing at him, but before he can, Godzilla just grabs the sub and swallows Tachibana right down in the gut. But Tachibana, still alive in the sub, moving around to Godzilla, gets near that spot, fires and shoots that missile right through the wounded spot, inside out of Godzilla, and blows a hole in Godzilla's chest. Godzilla ends up coming up out of the ocean and is about to fire his ray on the main character, Yuri, and her friend. And as he powers up, instead of the ray coming out of his mouth, it shoots right out the side of his chest through this hole. And Torres does it a second time, does it again. This time he goes underwater, but Admiral Tachibana makes it out of Godzilla through that hole in the sub in the ocean, and Godzilla goes one last time to blow his ray to kill Admiral Tachibana and explodes. Godzilla literally destroys himself, blows up. And you think it's all over. There's a great, awesome moment with Admiral Tachibana and his daughter, and he's like, it wasn't just for me, wasn't just for the fallen soldiers, it's also for the guardian monsters. And they give a salute out to the ocean. The music changes, goes underwater. You see a bunch of fish surrounding something, and all of a sudden you hear the doom, 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 and there's Godzilla's heart beating.
and the classic Godzilla theme.
Yep, because you don't hear the Godzilla theme the entire movie. Shusuke's crew does their own soundtrack, and their theme for Godzilla is so menacing in this movie. But then, right there's the heart pumps. Fukabe's theme comes on in ultimate glory.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, really, really, top-notch film. Shusuke and his crew definitely knocked out of the park. This movie came out December 15th of 2001. It had, had just a little over $1 million budget, like a 1.2 million, I think. Ended up grossing 2.7 million at the box office. So super big success. This one went on to become a real big fan favorite film amongst the Godzilla fans. But there is a division, because there are those out there who, for some reason, absolutely don't like this movie. They don't like the idea of Ghidorah being a hero and Godzilla being the villain.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a sour spot to some people. But I'm like, man, I'm willing to try something different. You know what I mean? If it works out, and it worked out great. But I mean, this movie came out.
Godzilla originally was a villain.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, that's what people do not understand. Is Godzilla was made to be a villain. Even in Godzilla versus Kong, the first one, Godzilla was supposed to be the heavy. Okay, Kong was supposed to be the hero of that movie.
Yep.
That's how they planned it. Okay, Godzilla was supposed to be, he's the heavy, and he didn't become friends with us till, I would say what, he wasn't in Mothra, he wasn't in, I would say Monster Zero.
Yeah, I would say Monster Zero was where he started to really truly turn.
So a lot of people forget that. I'm like, are you kidding me? He's supposed to be menacing. He's supposed to be a monster. He started off, I mean, as a Japanese horror. This started off as a Japanese horror giant monster film. You know, the horrors of war and what happens. His skin is, you know, radioactive. What happens to your skin? After you get exposed to radioactivity, it's supposed to be a monster. So, although I agree, it's funny to see Ghidorah as a hero. It's actually the way it's supposed to be, if you ask me.
Yeah. You know, and one thing that
and Mothra I'm okay with. Yeah, but
Mothra was awesome in this one.
I mean,
like,
King Ghidorah's.
This interpretation of Mothra was even like that one scene where she comes down and brings her abdomen down and shoots the stingers at Godzilla. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
Oh yeah.
But this too, that Mothra's I don't know, presence in this movie is one of the best. Mothra.
Oh yeah, because she is kind of brutal. I mean, when you first see her, she actually kills 11 people at the in her first appearance in the movie, on purpose. And
well, but you know what? They threw that dog in the water, so they
deserved it. They totally deserved it. But so I mean, but now the movie itself, and with Godzilla being, of course, the main character, having Baragon, Mothra, and King Ghidorah. Before we go into what we liked and didn't like about this film, we have to discuss what originally was supposed to be. And what originally was supposed to be was not Baragon, Mothra, and King Ghidorah. No, I'm sorry. Baragon was supposed to be in it, but not Mothra and King Ghidorah. Mothra and King Ghidorah were changed later, and because Toho wanted, a lot of the execs wanted them to bring them in as bigger names to draw more tickets, because Megaguirus didn't do so well. Originally, it was Baragon, Anguirus, and Varan who was it supposed to be. That would have been a completely different film, in my opinion.
Oh, that would have been weak.
Oh yeah,
weak. No way.
I think it would.
No way. Anguirus, think about it.
Well,
because Anguirus was Godzilla's first true enemy, the first true fight.
Yeah,
but put it in the hands of Kaneko.
He ain't got nothing.
But popularity
correct.
Yeah.
I mean, but then again, you're putting it in the hands of Kaneko. Yeah. And Kaneko took Gamera, which was a dead series. I mean, they ran it into the ground horribly. I mean, the last 3 Gamera films are among some of the worst giant monster films of all time, in my opinion, especially Zigra and Super Monster. Terrible, terrible, terrible movies. I mean, Zigra especially was just atrocious. And he revived it and brought Gamera a flying UFO style flying. Let's reiterate that. Fire-breathing turtle.
Sure.
And made that trilogy one of the greatest known and rated monster movies of all time by him. I mean, they're literally right now they're releasing those again in theater. They just did Gamera 2 and are fixing to do Gamera 3, and they're doing them in 4K. And Gamera Guardian Universe and Gamera 2, the reports that came through as far as the sales, sold out. Every showing for Gamera 2 was sold out, and so was Gamera Guardian Universe. So guaranteed Gamera 3 is going to. So I have faith in Kaneko and what he can do. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And to bring, I think Varan back would have been really cool, because he was always undershadowed. I mean, his movie was really, really good. The original Daikaiju Baran, or Varan the Unbelievable. Don't watch that version. That one's horrible. was a great movie and a great monster. We got glimpses of him in Destroy All Monsters, but he was kind of an underdog that never really got utilized. And so I think he could, and his design's cool. So I think he could have been cool. I think Varan would have been like the Mothra. King Ghidorah would have been Anguirus. Because, I mean, again, that's Godzilla's first villain ever. And he became Godzilla's partner, through the entire show. He was his right-hand man. And he would have looked gnarly. He would have looked disgustingly gnarly from Kaneko. And so I think the final battle, Godzilla takes out Baragon, Godzilla takes out Varan, and then it's the final battle is the original battle. You know what I mean? Like, to me, that would have been so nostalgic. The final battle of this movie being Godzilla versus Anguirus goes right back to the first giant monster battle, Godzilla and Anguirus. I think it could have been absolutely epic. I think it would have been so cool. But we had to mention.
I'm gonna agree with Mark though a little bit. I mean, I know what you're saying, and you really hyped it up, but Anguirus would have been no match for this Godzilla. Not this Godzilla. Not this Godzilla. Maybe a Godzilla.
This Godzilla is pretty beast.
Godzilla's Revenge.
And I'm thinking, also with as far as popularity, as far as
they're right. They're right
money,
about.
In the business side of it, you're probably going to draw more fans using Mothra and.
Well, you definitely would. Yeah. They are so much more. They're part of the big five.
I'll buy the Varan. I would have liked to seen Varan.
I think Varan would look so cool.
I would have liked to seen that. I'm not so sold on Anguirus. You make a good argument for it, but I'm just looking at the one-on-one battle, and I just don't see. I see him falling into the same fate that Baragon fell in this movie. I just
poor Baragon, dude.
Because think about it, King Ghidorah,
really
King Ghidorah, and Mothra both have, Mothra had the stingers. Ghidorah had its lightning, and poor Baragon. All you could do was tunnel.
They didn't even give him his. In Frankenstein Conquers the World, he has a beam. He can shoot a fire beam out of his mouth.
Yeah,
they didn't even give him that.
He didn't last long.
They didn't give him that.
No.
Now I'll admit, he gave a good battle. I loved him jumping off the top rope there and all that he was doing. Wrestling style.
He tried. He definitely did.
Yeah, he tried. Effort. I'll give him an A for effort. But I said
the moment he bit on Godzilla's arm. And Godzilla just starts throwing him around like a rag doll. You're like, this ain't going to last long.
So that's what I see. That's Anguirus. I see. That's what I see happening in Anguirus. So that's why I disagree with you on that. I'm more with Mark on that.
Well, I had just more hopes than the underdog that Anguirus was. So. So they end up changing that around, changed it to a couple of different things story-wise, but we got arguably the best movie of the Millenium Series out of it. And you can really tell because that Kaneko came on board because the special effects, I would even argue, are the best special effects of the entire Showa, Heisei, and Millenium Series combined. Special effects on this are through the roof, top notch, like we've never seen in the Godzilla film at this point.
Yes.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I cannot argue with that. Cannot argue with that.
Yeah, they're just, the suits are perfect. The miniatures are perfect.
Yeah.
Well,
the way he handles the green screen, or the humans.
Yeah, the green screen.
Yeah, them on screen is so good. When you see Godzilla blowing his fire in one scene at the army, and the tanks are flying, the bodies are flying, the soldiers, it's
excellent.
like, this is so good.
And I think as you see him walking up on shore. And the whole, you're looking at the whole town and seeing people running. I thought, I thought that looked fantastic.
The dude in the car.
Oh yeah.
And he's coming up like the throwback to the first appearance in 54 when he's walking across.
Yeah.
Yes.
This was absolutely gorgeous. Every bit was gorgeous. And a lot of it is because Kaneko got to bring his crew with him, and including his special effects crew, especially one person in particular we got a name, and that's Sinji Higuchi. Okay. Who worked with him on the Gamera films. He was special effects director for the third one. And but that name may sound familiar because he went on to direct the live action Attack on Titan films, and he was also the man behind Shin Godzilla and the upcoming Shin Ultraman. So Shin Higuchi, and of course now he went with Hideko, I can't remember that guy's name. The guy he works with for Shin Godzilla and Attack on Titan. They did a phenomenal, outstanding job with Shin Godzilla. But so, I mean, he brought him over here. So they had the whole crew from the Gamera. And I think it just showed that they still had the Toho budget, but it really showed their artistic abilities, because on a Toho budget, on a Toho time frame, they were able to do things that Toho just couldn't do or have done before. Not saying that the special effects in Godzilla movies aren't, haven't been great at times. They have been, a lot of them, but none of them have come close to this. So let's jump into it, man. Let's jump into the likes, dislikes. Ruben, I think you're up first this time.
Oh, okay. Well, there's not much I didn't like about it. I loved everything about this. I loved, first of all, this was directed and made by somebody who really is a fan of Godzilla. This is legend. When Legendary did King of the Monsters and Godzilla, especially King of the Monsters, that was made for fans to enjoy.
By a
there
fan.
Was plenty of throwbacks, and by a fan. It was done by a fan who really liked it. And this movie is in the same vein. It's just done perfectly. It's like he knew what we wanted. There was so many Easter eggs in this movie. From the one scene where they're on the side of that mountain, Godzilla appears and it's just his head over that mountain.
Oh yeah,
throwing back to 54, right
the
there.
original one, that little hill, in 54 he does that. Except in this one, he actually just plows right through that hill.
He even goes back to Odo Island. I forgot to mention that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he
that's
goes
the
back
island
to
in
the
the first
island.
film.
And not only that, but in the one scene you see two twins dressed the same
When Mothra first
that come
shows
up
line,
I mean, I was like, look at that. They even put that in there. The roar, in some of the scenes, it's the original roar that they used from 54, I believe. It was. I mean, he had so many little Easter eggs here and there that I said, man, because even in 54, Godzilla was a result of the nuclear war, so to speak, and in this one, it's the souls of those people that died, and not only the souls of Japanese, but of Americans. It's they said if you watch the Japanese version, and turn on the subtitles, if you watch the dub version, they don't really say it, but if you watch the subbed version, it basically says, it's the Americans and the Japanese that died in a war. We had so many lives, and people are forgetting
all of the victims,
all their souls. It's all of the victims, not just Japanese. And I thought, man, you know what? That is a throwback to what 54 was supposed to be. So I really love that. I like the soundtrack. It was different because they it wasn't your classic. You had all those throwbacks, but then they made up for it at the very end with the classic Godzilla theme. I love the suits. I'm not so crazy about Ghidorah. I'm a big original Ghidorah, full wings. I'd like to have heard the original Ghidorah roar in there somehow. And maybe I just didn't catch it, because this movie is pretty action packed.
Oh yes, it is.
There's some good battles. And you could miss something if you're not paying attention. So it's action packed. The story moved along just fine. Special effects were top notch. This is actually a high point of the Millennium, and I would the Millennium Series for sure. And you mentioned earlier that it's up there. It's up there with Godzilla 54. It's up there with Godzilla 84 or 85, whichever one you prefer.
It's in my top 5.
It's up there. Yeah. And if you guys remember, a way long time ago when we were rookies doing this show, we did a Radar Godzilla movies, and me and Sludge both had it at number 5. And Mark didn't. Mark didn't even mention it. Oh well.
I don't know what's wrong with Mark.
That's all right. That's all right.
But that's all right. And I remember doing that show and saying, you guys might be surprised, but I like GMK, and I was pleasantly surprised that Sludge liked it just as much as I did. I thought maybe it wasn't, and I know Sludge has different reasons because it's a good movie, and even though it was done by somebody who did Gamera before, I'll forgive him because he did a
forgive
job. And I like the Gamera films. They're great. They are. I'm just giving Sludge a hard time because, as I recall, during when we did the second Gamera movie,
Attack Legion.
he said he it was sacrilege. There was blasphemer. He said that Gamera film was almost as good as any Godzilla film he'd ever saw, if I remember correctly. I'm paraphrasing because I'm so traumatized when he said it.
To be 100% honest, I put Gamera 2 above, as far as quality and the actual how good the film was, up there with the original Godzilla. As in, to me, it would be a tie to how flawless both films are. So to be fair, yes, I did say that about Gamera 2, and I will always stick to my guns.
You did say that, yeah.
That movie is just flawless.
And I heard Mark had to go to church and beg for your
yes, that is correct.
Your soul, and say, please
correct.
save her soul, So I'm like, man, Mark did you a solid by going over to church and saying, he didn't mean it. He really didn't mean it. So, but it is. But I'm just giving you a hard time. Gamera 2 is one of the best Gamera films I've ever seen, and it compares to a lot of the Godzilla. It's a lot better than some of the Godzilla Showa series movies for sure. So back to GMK. So there's not the only thing I didn't like about it is I thought some of the acting, not all of it, some of the acting was kind of weak. I think some of the actors didn't put in quite the effort they should have. I mean, but all the main ones were fine. I liked them all. I liked the little jabs that were in the movie, like that Q video, but it was what is called broadcast satellite digital Q. So the sticker said BS digital Q.
Yeah,
because they did fake documentaries, and I thought that was so funny. BS digital Q. So little things like that. They were making those fake mockumentaries, is what he called them, when they got caught by that lake. So that's the only thing that prevented this from getting a 5. I think is some of the actors, I think, didn't put in a performance that I would like. But other than that, there's nothing wrong, and I could overlook that easily. Before the show, I even said I was very tempted to throw caution to the wind and put away the Ruben being too analytical and just give this a 5. That's how much I like this movie, because I really like it. It's one of my favorites. It's in my top 5. And the only reason it's not higher is out of respect for some of the legendary movies. I mean, some of the legend movies they've done. And of course, everybody knows Monster Zero is my number 1, but, GMK is right there, man. I mean, in fact, man, if you want to introduce somebody to a Godzilla movie, man, this might be just the one that you show them. So that
I think it would be this is the one that would, like, if you want to make sure you want to make somebody a Godzilla fan and grab them by the reins immediately, this is definitely one of those. Definitely one of those.
Yeah, this is one of those. I mean, if it's
you wouldn't go to the original.
I mean, the original has to be done.
Yes.
But I think when you look at today's society, if an American audience, somebody who's in their 20s today, I almost don't think I would. They have to watch at some point. But as an introduction, I almost don't know that I would.
Wow. Yep.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad.
I would go with that only because it's sad that they would not appreciate 54 like we do.
Oh yeah. Because I don't know how many times
that's the hard truth, man.
It is, because I'll sit down and I'll be watching a classic. What did I watch the other day? Well, except for Creature in the Black Lagoon, the boys watched it with me and they loved that movie. They thought it was great. But I'll be watching, the Black Scorpion, Valley of Gwanji, or even Ray Harryhausen. I was watching 20 Million Miles to Earth the other day, and Lexi comes out and she's like, "Man, those special effects suck." I'm like, and that's why you can't watch a classic film. You know what I mean? Like, you don't get it, you don't understand, and so you'll totally miss. This generation would totally miss an amazing movie that's groundbreaking. Only because they're like, "Oh man, special effects suck. It's not Disney Pixar."
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. And that's why you show them this one, and and it's sad, man. It is sad to say that you would show them this one over 54, because 54 is perfection.
Oh,
that's
it is.
all there is to it.
It's flawless.
Just like like if you wanted to show a kid, King Kong, you might show him the 2005 Kong. 2005. Do I get the year right? I think so. Is it? Yeah.
The Jackson's
Peter Jackson's Kong before the 1933 Kong. And it's sad to say that, but that's that grabs them. That grabs them and puts them into the genre, and then Then you show them 33.
Then you go back.
Show them
Yeah.
76.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
then you go back.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so yeah, it for us, we're all hardcore Godzilla. We're all just hardcore movie fans, sci-fi, all of it. For us, we've appreciated it,
Well,
plus we got to see him when we were younger, so
Yeah.
the appreciation level is there for us. Where it might not be, RJ grew up just seeing these things, so I can't use him as an example because I pretty much hammered it into him. He's said over and over again. I said, "Hannah, how did you know about that?" Because Dad, I grew up around you. This is what I saw. This is what I heard. This is what, you introduced me. He goes, you didn't exactly just sit me down and make me watch it, but I saw you watching it, or I saw you listening. I heard you listening to this music, it's amazing what kids will absorb, which you have to be careful. That's a warning for everybody too.
Yeah.
You don't think they're listening, or you don't think they're watching, but they are.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
They are.
So but they are, and you don't want to influence them. Like I did my best not to influence him. Let him, like what he likes. If he didn't dig Godzilla, he didn't dig Godzilla. But thank goodness he does. But that's my reasoning behind that. But that's the only thing I didn't like, was I thought some of the acting was a little subpar. And even some of it was subpar, but it was cool because they went back to Japan being well, we gotta discuss this in a committee first before we do anything. Meanwhile, cities are getting torn apart, and they're like, aren't you gonna do anything? And they don't believe, and so I thought the story was excellent. It was just some of the acting I think fell short. And that's all I got, man. It's mostly positive. I'd say 99.9 positive on this movie.
Mark, what about you?
Well, first off, yeah, it wasn't in my top 5, but I did give it 4 stomps just to make
Just
that
make that clear.
Yeah, you
point
did,
known there. Before you guys really trash me on that. So I liked the movie. I thought it was great. There was bits and pieces, maybe here and here, the special effects that were good at the time, but things you could see, as far as the computer graphics, and
the
that kind
CG,
of
like
stuff.
I'm thinking the ship in the ocean.
Yeah,
When they're looking for Godzilla, there are a few of those spots.
yeah, and one notably is he smacks Baragon at one time back towards onto the land more, and he's on his back, and you can kind of see it, and I kind of noticed it there. But I mean, otherwise, still for the time, I thought it was excellent. Did great. Now the big problem that I've had is I thought all the suits looked great except for Godzilla's. I'm not a big fan of the Godzilla suit.
How does that happen?
There is a couple spots where, I mean, he is like, the position a sumo wrestler gets in when he's like, his behind's down and his knees up, and that's how they make him look like a sumo wrestler. And I don't like that pose. I don't like the way that looks. To me, I like the one that stands up taller, and so that's the big negative.
I see what
for
you're
me.
saying. There was one scene where he's actually running down the street.
Yes, that and
I know what you're talking about, and I'm like, man, that's the fastest I've seen Godzilla run in these type of films, other than the
I love
film
that,
that
'cause I'm like,
Shaq
dude
mentioned.
is-
But he looks like a
Get out the
sumo
way.
wrestler. He looks like a sumo wrestler to me, and it's just
he looks like he's kind of stomping along, and I'm like, that almost looks unnatural.
yeah. And so
I know
was
exactly what you're saying.
that's one of the things that really is to have a negative. That would be it. But I think otherwise, I liked all the acting. Thought it was great. Liked all the Baragon. They could have used somebody else, but having Mothra in there and
well, that's a question mark. Who else would you put?
Well,
in there?
I don't know.
you can take Baragon off.
I don't know. I mean, I know we've discussed different one. I'm just not sure.
Yeah, if anybody could,
what I would like. I would have liked to seen someone like, although he probably get his butt kicked just as well as like somebody like King Caesar would have been all right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because he's really a guardian monster type, a legendary,
Yeah.
mythical guardian
Yeah.
monster. Anyways, he
Yeah.
would have been cool,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and he has a
It would've
power
been cool,
too.
but you have to give him special. Yeah, you have to give him some special power. That's what Baragon was lacking.
yeah. I mean, you
Yeah.
just have to have somebody to put up some kind of fight
Because there was none.
There
There
was
was
no fight
no
there
fight at all.
with that one. So
He tried.
Yeah. Oh yeah. A for effort, like I said before. But
I mean,
you know,
that was really.
I was not disappointed. I was not disappointed to see him in it.
No, he
No,
looked
don't get me
great.
wrong.
He looked great, and then I
Yeah.
can't remember the woman's name who played him. It's actually a female suit actor or actress.
that's
to say
right.
Yeah.
it's the same. She also played Gauss in Gamera Guardian of the Universe.
yes,
Yeah, it's Rio something.
Rio Oda. Rio,
Yeah, so
Oda.
she's great
Yeah.
as a suit actress or actor. So I mean, I think Baragon looked great. She did a great job portraying them.
yeah.
But I mean, it was like a pit bull versus a mouse. I mean, there was
Yeah.
was no chance, you know.
It just great movie, great, and I think, you know, in talking about, well, if you're going to show somebody Godzilla this compared to the 54, and I agree with what you guys are saying, and I was trying to remember what I did with you. I think I just went straight 1985 with you. Didn't
It was
I?
85 then 54.
Yeah.
Which,
In that order.
Yeah.
Which is an excellent choice.
Yeah.
I mean, 85 is an excellent choice.
Yes. So
You know,
it was
yeah.
good. Thumbs up. Like I say, I gave it a 4.
Or I mean, I love this one. Again, top 5 for my favorite Godzilla films. I like it when someone will take something, because we've been used to the same thing up to this point with Godzilla.
yeah, same formula.
Yeah,
that
for
formula is just there, yeah.
decades, absolute decades. And while I would have I enjoyed the same formula, well, yeah, it's Godzilla on screen. You know what I mean? Even though Megaguirus was as bad as it was, it's still enjoyable to watch. You know, just to mentally say, okay,
Yeah.
it's still got its fun moments. But I loved it when Kaneko's like, no, we're doing something completely different. And to me, that's great. The part of me is like, I really do wish we would have seen Anguirus and Baron, because it would have just continued that completely different thing going. But I mean, there was very few complaints. I love this suit. The ghost eyes,
Yeah.
the bulk, the muscular definition in him, especially his arms. I mean, he's just an absolute beast. I mean, you definitely tell that Kaneko was like, let me remember the 84 suit. Let me remember the 54 suit. Let's go back to that truly menacing, form. And I felt like that. And this Godzilla was just that. He was just destructive. I mean, when he first shows up coming on land, and he's hearing all these people screaming, especially that one woman who screams, and he just looks and sees everybody running.
Oh
and
yeah,
it's
he
like,
turns around.
and just blows them
Yeah.
away. It's
Yeah.
like, you're on my
Yeah.
nerves. You're
There-
going to die.
There was
you know?
this movie has some deaths
Oh,
in
my-
it.
yeah.
Or other movies,
Or
or
even-
just it's alluded that people died, but this one,
Oh,
they
you
died.
see it. You see
know
it. Yeah. You know what I
You
mean?
see it,
Even the
yeah.
girl who survives his attack on Odo Island, she makes it to Tokyo, or not Tokyo, but she makes it to wherever he lands at. And she's in the hospital, okay, in a bed,
Yeah.
bandaged up like a
In a
cartoon
bed.
character. And he comes walking
Yeah.
right by the hospital, and she's losing it. She sees him right in her window. She's screaming that, she's about to die. And he walks on, and she's like, oh, I made it. And then his tail comes from out of nowhere and just destroys
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Not even the whole hospital, just that floor and where her room was. I'm like, oh my God. It's like any hope that one would have in surviving this, Kaneko just takes it away. And I mean, I
Yeah,
love
exactly.
that, I love the characters in the movie. I mean, especially Tachibana. Both Yuri and Admiral Tachibana, I think, are great, because they both, in their eyes, have a job to do, and they will do it no matter what. And I love that. And, at first they both are kind of butt heads of they don't want the other one to do their job because they don't want him to die or things like that. But then they both come to realize that's who they are, no matter what. And then they push for each other. You know what I mean? Like, she gets arrested because she's the Admiral's daughter and she's putting herself in danger. But then there's that
Yeah,
moment
yeah.
where he tells the officer that's got her,
Right.
give her carte blanche, let her go. She
Yeah.
might die, but this is what she does. And so I love the development of those characters, because that's so different. I almost felt like Kaneko he pulled from Steve Martin, in King of the Monsters
Yes.
in 85. And it's like, I like this reporter character. You know, let's
Yuri,
really run with that with Yuri. So I thought that was really, really cool. I love the monsters. I absolutely love the suits. I mean, I love all the suits. Ghidorah, with the way his wings were down at first, I'm kind of like, you know, but I got it because of the character as far as his age and development to where he's supposed to be in the storyline.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. It's just
it did,
me a little
but I think what really paid off of that was when Mothra and Baragon's spirits fused in or went into Ghidorah's, and then his wings come out.
He became King Ghidorah.
Oh yeah. That was absolutely epic. And that fire, you know, when Godzilla's blasting him twice, and he's collecting the energy into this massive ball and hits Godzilla, I was like, dude, you know, like I've seen Ghidorah shoot Godzilla with some electric beams for decades and never seen that type of power come out of him. I thought it was really, really good. I liked how so much of this handled the underwater fight scenes, the underwater scenes, period.
Oh, yeah.
Were handled great. You know, there's a scene where Godzilla's swimming underwater where you first see the wound in him, and it's all CGI. Yeah. And I go back to that scene in Godzilla X Megaguirus. Remember, we were complaining about how bad it was? Totally polar opposite on this one, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, special effects were just absolutely top notch. You know, with some of the characters, the best actors, no, I agree with you, Ruben. But thankfully, those characters were like the side characters. They were not our main characters. Not the ones that had to carry us through. The Easter eggs
it's
were
not
awesome.
like a Godzilla movie hasn't done that before, you know?
Right.
Because I think he drew from Showa and put some of these characters in there only to remind us of some of those characters we had in Showa, in the Showa era, which was great. So it was a negative, but at the same time, it was enjoyable.
It really was, you know, and the Easter egg stuff is really, really cool. I love, you know, the Mothra girls being there, and even the photos on Odo Island of Dr. Yamane.
Yeah, that was,
you know, so many cool Easter eggs. But my favorite was a cameo, and I can never get his name right. I had to pull it up, but Detective Osako from the Gamera films. Remember, he's a detective, then he's a security guard, then he's homeless. Yukijiro Hotaru. He makes a cameo in this. He's the one who falls down and finds Ghidra in the cave, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And what makes it even better is he's not just a normal cameo, okay? It's almost like he's the same guy, because remember, in Guardian Universe, he's a detective. In Gamera 2, he's a security guard. In the third one, he's homeless. Now he's committing suicide. You know, like he's gone to hang himself. He has hit rock freaking bottom at this point. I love that. I mean, because I know that. I mean, when Kaneko's like, dude, Yukichiro's you got to be in this movie. Well, who am I going to play? Well, you can't play the same character. It's a different universe, but you got to be in the same place. You know what I mean? Like we got, you know, go kill yourself. That's where that's where you're at. You know, at this point with monsters. I absolutely loved it, man. I mean, I thought it was great. And to me, the ending was the end of end all for a Godzilla film. Because, I mean, you know, Godzilla, he gets blown up. You know, I mean, I love the fact that, like, look, Baragon obviously couldn't do anything. Mothra couldn't stop him. King Ghidorah couldn't stop him. You can't stop him. He had to kill himself because there's nothing on this planet that's going to stop him. Right. And so, you know, he blows up. And to me, that was probably the best Godzilla death ever, which there's not many anyways. But I mean, like, that's the best.
Yeah.
One.
The only way it's going to happen.
But then to have this awesome soundtrack, and I love the soundtrack. I mean, the soundtrack is intense in moments where you don't even expect it to be, but you're like, oh man, we're going somewhere. I don't know where yet, but I'm on it. You know, let's get there. And Godzilla's theme is just superb. But then, like, to have the heart beating at the bottom of the ocean, and then a Fukube's theme. I mean, dude, like, when I first watched this, and I didn't really pay attention until that moment that I'd not heard any classic Godzilla music. It was all new, and while very enjoyable. But when that heart started pumping, and I heard those undertones from a Fukube's, I lost it. Yeah.
The adrenaline will start to go.
Oh, dude, I was like, freaking epic. You know, I mean, I just felt like this was. Kaneko had been wanting to make a Godzilla movie for years, and you can tell in this film he put all love into this movie. Like, he put as much love into this as he possibly could with the budget he had, which was, you know, minuscule compared to what he was getting at the Gamera films. You know what I mean? So he did everything he could, and I think he just knocked out top notch. I mean, this one
Oh yeah.
is
There's no you can't tell that he had a small budget.
no, you can't, man. I mean,
you cannot tell.
everything was superb.
No way.
Complaint wise, I mean, if I had the only actual complaint for me is I would have honestly liked to have seen it with the original design characters. I would have liked to have seen it with Baragon and Anguirus, because I think that could have taken this movie into a whole nother spectrum, because that would have had to have been, no matter what, that would have had to have been a much more physical fight.
Oh yeah,
with both of those
I agree with
characters.
that.
I mean,
Well,
and
we're talking about wish list, man. I would have liked him to come along and bring Gamera with him.
oh
That's
my
what I
gosh,
would've
yeah,
liked to see.
because that was, to me, that
would have been.
would have been stellar. I mean, if they ever bring Godzilla and Gamera together, Kaneko has to be the man to do it. Nobody else, But that was one of the things that made me, and we've talked about before in previous shows, I'm not super big on the Ray battles. You know what I mean? Like, I like the physical fighting. That's one of the things I liked so much about the Heisei Gamera films, is that they are so physical. I mean, even, when he fights Legion, I mean, Legion is almost 3 times his size in mass.
Yeah.
But Gamera is still giving it his all, going toe to toe as he can with him. It's so physical. So, I mean, I would have loved that aspect, because you can't get as physical with Mothra. You know what I mean? Then you got Ghidra flying, and Ghidra doesn't have arms, so there's lack of physicality that can be done. And I just think, one, bringing back the original Godzilla villain and with Anguirus would have been absolutely awesome instead of King Ghidorah. But the physicality of the fights, I think, could have been so much more. Now, again, does that really take away from the movie as a negative? No, because they never actually made it to the film. So, but that would be my only actual complaint about the movie itself, was I would have loved to have, kind of like, with Space Godzilla and Mogera, you know what I mean? That would have been, I wish it was Godzilla like it was originally planned, but that's really would be my only complaint. I mean, I loved everything about it, man. I mean, I can't think of anything I don't really like about this movie. Even the,
I mean, it was really, thinking about it, I was like, man, what don't I like about it? This is one of those movies that for me, and it sounds like for you too, I had to reach.
Yeah,
find something negative about
really got to reach for this one. So, but I mean, superb Godzilla film, man. I mean, for you guys, if you've not seen it, they're listening. Stop wasting your time. Go watch this movie. I mean, it's one of the best Godzilla films there are, period. And you can get to see some characters in a different light that you wouldn't have seen, especially with King Ghidorah. It was really cool to see him as the good guy this time around. I mean, because he's always been the bad guy, with Godzilla, with Mothra, even Zone Fighter, what I mean? Like, he even was the bad guy on TV.
Yeah.
He's always the villain. He's Godzilla's greatest villain. But to see that turn and flip and Godzilla be the heel, you know what I mean, and Ghidra be the hero, was pretty cool. Was pretty cool to see. He still couldn't stop Godzilla, but, it's all right. He tried.
Yeah.
So it was good. It was good.
Anything else from you guys?
Nope.
Anything else on this one?
Good, man. It was good.
Yeah.
Top
I
five,
mean, like I said before, there's not much to say other than it's a must see.
It is a must see. We gave this one 4.5 stomps total. So 2 4.5 from me and Ruben and 4 from Mark. So we came to around at 4.5 stomps. I mean, this is as close to as best as it can get for a Godzilla movie. And we all highly recommend this one.
Yeah.
So, well, right on. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Hopefully that's gave you guys an itch to go watch this movie and more Godzilla, because you need to. Why? Because it is March, and the most important film of the year is March 31st of this year, and that is coming. Godzilla versus Kong. And there's trailers and TV spots coming out left and right, and I'm telling you what, we have another movie coming up this month that I'm stoked about. We're doing we're starting to trek through the Universal Monster films, and we're going back to probably not technically the original, but the first of the actual, because the original one isn't considered a Universal Monster, and that's Hunchback from Notre Dame. Quasimodo was never considered one. But the first original Universal Monster was the Phantom of the Opera. And so the next episode this month, we will be doing the original 1924 silent film with Lon Chaney in this. And what is awesome is special effects are done by Lon Chaney himself, because the dude was just a genius. Which a lot of people don't know. Lon Chaney did the special effects for Quasimodo. He played Quasimodo in Hunchback from Notre Dame, but he also did the effects for it.
Yeah.
That's all him. So, I mean, Lon Chaney was a genius. But so we're doing that one, but we will be coming back at the end of the month and giving we'll do our best to try and do a spoiler-free review as we can, But we are going to go see Godzilla versus Kong on the 31st, and we're going to get together and we're going to do our initial reaction episode for you. It'll be a little shorter episode, but we're going to get together and let you know what we thought of the greatest rematch in history that we've been waiting for. What, 50 years?
You were talking about physicality.
Oh yeah,
this one is going to have physicality. Yeah,
it absolutely is going to be. I mean, like, especially if you watch some of the clips, man, like that the trailers, it's like this is going to be brutal. And they've confirmed that the battleship, the ocean scene, 18 minutes. We're going to get an 18-minute monster fight. Come on, dude! Like that has me. I'm jonesing for this now, man. And we won't spoil anything because we know we got some friends out there, Pete and Justin. You know. But we'll do our best.
They've avoiding all the RJ's avoiding all the trailers too. By the way,
not me, man. I'm taking them all.
He wants to go in. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yes. You know, he's. I want to go in fresh. I don't want to know anything. I don't want to see anything.
Wow.
I'm gonna go in fresh. So he's not watching any of the trailers.
That's crazy.
See, I just can't do that because like I know the little tidbits and stuff. Okay, so
I mean, he might see a screenshot here and there because he can't avoid it.
Full disclosure. Okay, because I've kept this up for 3 years now almost. I know what happens in the film. I know what happens from start to finish. I know how it begins, how it ends, and where we get to from A to B. Okay, I've known it for a long freaking time, and to sit here and watch the trailer show up and go, yes, everything I knew is.
So this is from your prediction.
This is from no. Okay. I got
no.
Okay.
Not prediction.
You got some inside info?
I got inside info of the original screening. Okay. Then I got inside info on what was changed and where we've gotten to. Okay. So I know from A to B of this film what's going to happen and who's the victor. Okay. Who's not the victor as far as that. And, I don't know that it's a spoiler to say who the big bad in the movie is. Okay. But we've I'm
plug your ears, Pete.
Plug your ears, Pete. And Justin.
Yeah. It's getting...
wait a minute. I'm plugging my ears. I don't want to hear
it. But so for me, seeing these trailers, I'm like, oh, you know what I mean? Because I'm starting to see the things that I already know. So for someone who's going in, it's like, I just want to go in completely surprised. I guess I get that. But I'm gonna be sitting there in the theater chair going, "Oh, this is next. Oh, this is next. Oh no, I'm gonna lose my mind."
I am not sitting next to you.
Oh, dude, I can't wait, man. I'm gonna go absolutely crazy because I'm gonna be antsy the whole time. You know what I mean? Like I know what to expect and what's coming, and I'm so pumped for what I know is coming that when we start to get there, I'm gonna be coming. I'll be unglued. I'm gonna come unglued in the theater. I'm telling you, I can't wait for this. So. There's my initial reaction to the film. I don't even have to record it for the 31st, but yeah. So we're going to get together.
So when we message each other and I'm giving you all my theories, you're probably like laughing because I'm wrong.
Yeah. See, that's
what's happening. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. He's not let us know this all this time. Like
he's letting me make a fool of myself.
Oh, that is wrong. That is so wrong,
man. I'm trying to be a good friend. Okay.
Tell you what.
I'm not ruining this. Okay, I'm gonna tell you what.
I've told you he's a Sony guy. I told you
there is another person on this planet that I have discussed this movie with in full. We both have, and actually, this person theorized almost this entire movie to a T, and had no idea what was coming. But we've discussed it.
Now, if you tell me that's either Pete or Justin, who doesn't like any spoilers.
Nope, neither one of those. Neither one of those. Actually, then
I'm going to be very disappointed in both of them.
Now, this person was actually our guest on the last episode.
So
Sarge, yes. Me and Sarge, when they greenlit this film, me and Sarge had about a 3-hour discussion one night.
Oh yeah, I imagine
on what possibilities there were, what there could be, and then we went through. And he did not have the big bad that's actually in the film as the big bad in his theory. However, his theory, start to finish, was almost freaking verbatim this movie. Okay, I mean, just change the villain, and Sarge had it. I mean, he was like, this is what I would love to see happen, man. And then this is what needs to be. And then this is, as we're talking about it, we're theorizing what can happen. I mean, to a T, what we're fixing to see, just changing the villain is slightly. Changing the villain.
So what you're saying is Sarge should get a lawyer because they stole his idea.
Heck yes, they did.
Oh, yeah.
We even talked about it too. We were
Yeah.
like, dude, we need to submit this idea to Legendary because this is where it's at. Well, they tapped our phones, is what it was. We just didn't know it.
That's what it is.
Nah, man. I mean, this is going to be the
Telling you.
best of the MonsterVerse. I mean, there's no doubts about it. Now, I am wondering because someone who's worked on the film during an interview with Fandom Wire let it
Yes,
slip
I think I know what you're going.
that there's a credit scene.
Yes, I did
Really?
read that.
Yes.
He let
Wait.
it slip that there. Yes, I
That
did
there's a
read that.
credit scene, which means if it does good,
It's not over, which means it's not over.
there could be more,
If you have it, it could be
which is
more.
part of the reason why
Yeah.
I'm buying theater tickets multiple times that day and then again on HBO Max. I'm doing all I can as a supporter to make sure we have more because this movie is going to be
Oh,
epic.
I got you. Yeah.
Even if we don't, this is going to be the best film of the MonsterVerse, and it's going to end freaking spectacularly. Like, oh, I'm itching. I'm itching to just be like, here you go, guys. This is what's going to happen. You're all going to be like, oh my God, can't wait to see this because it's going to be, I promise you, epic, absolutely epic. So, anyways, I'll stop rambling about Godzilla vs. Kong because I know we're all pumped up about it. Absolutely cannot wait for this movie. So, but anyways, hope you guys enjoy the show. Go check out GMK. It is the best of the Millennium series. Me and Ruben will argue with you. It's one of the best of the series, period.
Yes.
It's so
Yep.
good, so good, so good. Join us again here in 2 weeks, and we will bring the original Universal Monster Phantom of the Opera, which actually happens to be Sludge's all-time favorite movie. That is actually my favorite movie of all time, the 1924 Phantom of the Opera. There is no better film, and I'll explain.
Of all time.
Of all time.
all of them. Of Godzilla.
Of all time.
All
Gamera.
time.
All time.
Of all
time.
If I'm stuck on
Really?
a deserted island and I can pick one movie,
This is
I
it?
will pick Phantom of the Opera in 1924 over
Wow.
Godzilla.
Wow.
And I'll explain to you why when we get to
Yeah.
the show.
Okay.
So,
We'll
because
see.
this was the movie that changed movie viewing for me. My whole aspect on how I viewed a film changed because of Phantom of the Opera 1924. It was the first silent film I watched, and when I watched it, I just got things that I never gotten before out of a movie, and it changed how I've watched movies ever since.
So,
And,
so what I'm seeing is what you need to do is that autographed VHS you got. You need to go ahead and either give that to Mark.
No.
or send it to
Oh
me,
yeah,
because
I'll take it.
I don't
I'll
think
take it.
so.
In fact,
Yeah.
good point. I'll just leave with it
Now, wait a
tonight.
minute,
I'll
wait a
leave
minute.
with
No,
it
no, no, no.
tonight. Yeah.
All right, okay. So no, that don't float.
Now, hold on now.
That don't float. You're going to tell me.
So
either
so
one of you
let me
two
ask you this:
that
if
a
I
Godzilla
had
film's your favorite movie
an
of all
autograph,
time.
well, that
Do what now?
You two
I'm
are going
sorry.
to sit here and tell me that a Godzilla film, as big a fans as we are, without lying, hand on a Bible, that your favorite movie of all time is a Godzilla
All
film
time. Wow.
on a deserted island, only one film. You're going to tell me it's going to be a Godzilla film.
you know what? Right now, it would be.
Yeah, I think I could.
But but that
both
changes.
lying and going to
That
hell.
changes.
No, no, man, that's
No.
wrong. That's
If
wrong.
I had to pick one movie, God, that would be rough.
Mark,
But
I can name a few from
Yeah.
Mark right now. You would Tombstone.
no, no,
man,
no,
you're killing
no,
me. Yeah, you're
no.
killing me.
no. I'd leave Tombstone.
Are you kidding me?
Oh yeah, I'd leave it.
How many times
I'd
did you
leave
maybe watch that as a child?
It's a good movie.
Oh,
It's a good
dude, I
movie.
love Tombstone.
I'd leave
Yeah.
it. So good.
Tombstone's great,
I'd
but I
leave
don't know if it
Yeah.
would be the one that
Star
I would pick
Wars?
if I was on a desert.
Oh yeah, I'd leave Star Wars. too.
Golly.
You'd leave Star Wars too.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I
man.
picked Godzilla over Star Wars.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking of some big, movies.
You
that
know,
were huge.
I'm thinking a different Phantom Menace. That's the one I would take. I'm just kidding, guys.
I was gonna say, all right. So hope you all enjoyed Ruben being a part of the show because this is now the end of his tenure. So, no, man, I will. I mean, Family Opera, dude. That is to me.
Wow.
I mean, now
that's a bold statement, man.
it is.
That's that's a bold
if it makes
And I'm not disagreeing with you. It's not like I'm not saying it's a terrible movie or whatever. It's just, man, of all the movies that you're a fan of, that'd be tough for me to pick. because I just couldn't do it because there's so, I'm too analytical. I have to break everything down to genre and all this other stuff.
Right,
and,
right.
How am I gonna turn down Empire Strikes Back over,
Well, I mean,
Godzilla
Empire's up
85
there.
over,
For me, Empire's up there.
Yeah,
I mean,
man,
if my top three greatest
so-
films of all time is Phantom of the Opera, 1954's original Godzilla, and Empire Strikes Back. Those are the three greatest films ever made, in my opinion. I absolutely love those. Now, well, is there movies made that are better than
better, but those are your
Empire?
favorite. Yeah.
Then yes.
Yeah.
I mean, Seventh Samurai by Akira Ifukube is really hard to top. Like, really hard.
So
Like,
that's what I'm saying. You have them all on the table. You're going to Desert Island with no electricity, by the way, but somehow you can
somehow. I'm looking at the 8mm film and my moonlight. That's what I'm doing.
There you go. Yeah. So man, that I mean, wow. I'm super psyched to hear what you have to say about Phantom of the Opera.
Oh, it's good. It is good. And hopefully you guys pick up on
super psyched.
there's two key things, two majorly key points in this film, or things that happened in this film that changed everything for me as a moviegoer, as just a movie watcher. And so hopefully you guys will pick up on it. Because when I did circa 17 when I first watched it, I think it was 16 or 17, it changed it all for me. Changed it all. If it wasn't for Phantom of the Opera, I wouldn't have dove into trying to watch movies like Donnie Darko, American History X, like those cult.
I could see that.
I mean, it was because of Phantom that I wanted deeper films.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It made you want to watch deeper films, not just superficial action movies or superficial monster movies.
Yep.
You wanted deep meaning after that.
Yeah, I mean,
I can see that, man.
definitely.
Actually, I can see that.
Seeing the classics,
that movie alone that we're gonna do next has been redone so many times, so many different formats.
Even Freddy Krueger tried to be the Phantom.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I know what you're saying. I don't know if I agree if I would take it on a desert island. Maybe after watching it, maybe I'll join you.
You might,
man.
But,
so yeah.
All right. So. Well, guys, again, thank you all so much for listening. Thank you for listening to this rant there off of a little tangent. That's just what we do. But we definitely hope you guys enjoyed it. It does. We'll see you in 2 weeks for Phantom of the Opera. And then we'll see you again right after that for our initial reaction of Godzilla versus Kong. This is Sludge.
And Mark.
And you got Ruben in Texas.
Y'all have a good night.
Good night.
Good night, guys.